I think the people that invented buffalo wings would probably turn it in their grave at the thought of tomato juice and Tabasco with butter is the buffalo hot wing. All right. Welcome to Allsauce Matters, your source for all things Allsauce. I'm Uncle Brutha. I make award-winning Allsauce, and I'm a radical self-care extremist. And thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you and welcome to all the newest All-Stars. Let me put some names up. Here's some names. I'm gonna let some names flow right here so that we can all join in welcoming the latest All-Stars to the Allsauce Village. Thank you so much for joining us on this mission to bring back your favorite award-winning Allsauce. All right, here we go. Now, there's some news in the R&D update I know you've been waiting for. So, without further ado, let me bring you this week's R&D update. All right, this is Allsauce Matters. Time for an R&D update. Y'all ready for this? Yeah. Just gotta pat myself on the back before I get into this because, if you caught my earlier post, R&D Badger number 10, not only is it done, yeah, look, mission accomplished. That's okay, let me go there. Mission accomplished. The process is complete. I am so excited about this number 10 badge, I can hardly contain myself. Eliminating those pre-purchased products not only cuts the cost immensely, it ensures the ability to keep control of the process. Okay, so with the completion of the batch now, orders that have been waiting for number 10 are going out ASAP. Let me take this opportunity now to do a special shout out. I'm gonna start with Michael A. Michael A just signed up as an all-star and opted for the case add-on. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Michael A. But that led me to now do a special shout out to everybody who, in addition to Michael A, has also opted for the case add-on. So let me go back and acknowledge Derek F, Eli R, Francis K, Michael L, Stuart K, Matthew G, all from the first round of sign-ups, Ethan M, and of course, Bill P. Bill, already being a member, the original All-Star, was able to take advantage of the Visit the Store link and add on a case to his already existing membership subscription. So, he's got a case of 5 ounce. He just did a comment, I need a case of 5 ounce so I can take them everywhere I go, on one of my posts I saw recently. And Bill now has his case of 5 ounce on the way so he can take them everywhere he goes. Thank you, Bill P. Thank you to all of the All-Stars who've added on a case of samples to their memberships. Now, if you're interested in doing that, you have to be a member first of all. Then you can click on the link. If you don't see a link up here that says Visit the Store, check over here for a link that says Become an All-Star. I think I have that right. It might be the other way around. Become an All-Star is on this side, or Visit the Store is on this side if you're already. Either way, look up there. On one side you'll see Visit the Store if you're an All-Star. On the other side you'll see Become an All-Star. Click the link! Click the link! Click the link! Click the link! And become an All-Star or get your case add-on today. Alright, now I couldn't be more happy with how this came out. And now let me explain how important this is. Okay, with this batch, I have successfully mimicked the outcome of that prepackaged product with the creation of the No.10 stock that I used for this batch. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about, okay? Stock exceeded my expectations beyond what I even expected. All right, but you get the point. You get what I'm saying. Originally, when I came up with the first version of Uncle Brother's Allsauce, it was the recipe for my hot wings. Years ago, now I know I've told this story, there's other videos out there with me telling the story, but I'm going to revisit it here real quick. Okay, years ago, I was in the automotive industry, automotive leasing, okay? And we used to go to happy hour all the time, and we would always get hot wings. We never liked them. It was always the same thing. Oh, these hot wings they're not hot. Yeah, it's just same old. So we started looking around, finding different places to go in search of decent hot wings to go with the happy hour. It just became something that, I was working with people. Everybody likes to eat in this show. I'll leave it at that. Okay? So, we're looking for these good hot wings. And then one day, for some reason, we had the idea to do a potluck in the office. And so, it was put upon me to come up with some hot wings for the potluck. And of course, the challenge was to make them not only hot, but tasty. Not only tasty, but hot. That was the challenge. Because that was always the complaint. You're going to complain about something. Well, either have a solution or come up with one. Just had a conversation about that not too long ago. Anyway, I digress. Back to the point here. Hot wings. First of all, I responded to this request by saying, well, I've never made hot wings before. I'm not sure if I know how to do that. And so someone else responded, well, my mom takes tomato juice and adds some Tabasco to it. Okay. So I said, that doesn't sound very good. But what did I just say? Instead of complaining about it, I said, okay, I can do better than that. Doesn't sound like it's such a great recipe, but okay. Since I think I know what's a great hot wing recipe, I guess I better come up with one. So anyway, I said, I can do differently from that. But instead of course, I had the basic idea there, but tomato juice with Tabasco. Oh, and there was, hers also included butter. Not that there's anything wrong with butter. That's perfectly fine. But for my purposes, the butter wasn't going to be a factor. So I'm thinking, all right, I got to do something different from just tomato juice and Tabasco. I think the people that invented buffalo wings are probably turning in their grave at the thought of tomato juice and Tabasco and butter is buffalo hot wing. Well, when I first did my recipe, initially I used other hot sauces. I didn't put the butter in there, but the outcome was good. Everybody loved the wings. Said they were hot and had a lot of flavor. I said, okay, great. But I used other prepackaged products off the shelf. Look, what you got, right? So, gotta do what you gotta do. Haven't I said that before? Anyway, like I was saying, I used other prepackaged items off the shelf to come up with that initial recipe. I had the flavor profile that everybody thought was great, and the heat level was great. So as time went on, now this was my early days of cooking and chefing. I've always loved to cook. I don't know if I've ever told this before. In grade school, we had a program way back in the day. It was called RIF. Reading is fundamental. And they would sit us down with a little catalog and say, pick out a book. So I picked out a book. It was a cookbook. That was the first book I picked for the Reading is Fundamental program. So cooking seemed to have been in my DNA. As far as I can tell, creating things. This was about creating food. So I've always wanted to cook. Now, I came up with this recipe that involved all these other products, and I said, well, how can I do this from scratch? So at first I analyzed all of the different products I was buying to get a feel for what made this one what it was and what made that one what it was. And so the process of elimination, and some things were duplicated and repeated. I said, okay, well, I don't know. So narrowed it down, and then I came up with my raw ingredients, which I would add to a base. Now, that first initial base that was suggested was tomato juice. I had to come up with an original version, and so I did not use the tomato juice as the base, but I came up with the peppers that I was going to need. And shortly thereafter, wound up moving to LA. That's where my LA story comes in. And while I was there, I was making the sauces. And as you know, I've tried numerous different types of chilies, because once I got to LA, all of a sudden I see there's a vast array of different peppers that I could try. Now, here in DC at that time, this was 20 years ago, it wasn't quite as widely available. The varieties weren't quite as widely available at the time here in DC. So when I got to California, I was exposed to new varieties of different types of chilies that I hadn't seen before. And so I tried swapping out, trying different combinations for years. But the bottom line is that original combination of chili peppers is what turned out to be the winning combination. From the very beginning, when I came up with number 9, which was one day after making the hot wing sauce, I had some leftover serranos, and I said, well, what can I do with these? Let me come up with something else. So I started combining different things, and I came up with the serrano chilies and garlic, of course, and green onion and cilantro and ginger. And I got that together and kept working at it until I finally got a nice balance of flavors with that combination of ingredients. And so I always started out with a vegetable stock with number 9. I was still using for my base a prepackaged product. I was buying them as a consumer, and I cook with stocks normally. Chicken stocks, vegetable stocks, but for this I used a vegetable stock. Now, instead of purchasing a vegetable stock, I have created the stocks from which I'm working. So, of course, these are products with the production, with control of the production, with the production remaining in-house, or being in-house this time around. Developing and introducing new products will flow as it should. The line can continue to grow as it should have the first go round. The first go round, depending on co-packers, that was not the best choice. That was the fast choice. Okay. So this time, the better choice. Keeping the production in-house. This is a major step in doing that. Okay, well, that's going to about do it for this week's edition of the R&D Update. Well, there you have it. And as you heard, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. The stocks I'm using now to produce your favorite Allsauce are just incredible. Incredible. So for everyone who signed up between September 20th and October 1st, you should already have your samples by now. If you're just signing up, your samples are on the way or will be on the way very shortly. For anybody who signed up for a membership for 12-ounce bottles of September 30th, you're getting samples from these R&D batches. Not everybody getting 5-ounce is getting samples from these latest R&D batches. For the number 9, yes, not so much for the number 10. There's a few number 10 bottles from the previous batch that is still going out. So 12 ounces for sure. I ran out of 12 ounces much much faster than I thought I would. The 12 ounces went very fast. So with these R&D batches, a few more 12 ounces came out of these R&D batches. So shouldn't run out of hope. Well, be a nice problem to have to run out of them too soon. So, if you haven't already taken advantage of the reward program and started sending your friends and family to become all-stars, please consider that. Friends and family are welcome. Getting closer to the limit, but not quite there yet. Let's get me to the limit. Overrun me with too many members that I can't handle at this R&D stage of things, okay? Because that's where we are. This is the R&D stage that we're in. The next step at this point is working with a commercial kitchen. And like I've said, I've been in conversation with Sherry at the fish market. And now that these 2 R&D batches are done, I'm going to be going through my checklist of things that I'll need to have in place when I start to produce in the commercial space. So there's still a few details that I have to work out before, I was pushing for the holidays to be ready for retail. I don't know. There's a few things that have come up that may delay the retail being ready by the holiday, but I'm pushing for it. This is just the beginning of the last quarter here. So there's some time. We'll see if I can get all the details ironed out to make sure that we can do retail by the holiday. But bottom line is, if you're an all-star, as I mentioned in the R&D update, look up in the menu here. If you see a link to visit the store, you can add on more samples in quantities of single bottles, 2 bottles, or cases. Okay? Single bottles, 2 bottles, or cases. For right now, gotta keep it simple, can't make it too complicated. Have you taken advantage of leaving a review? We need your reviews from everyone, all of you all-stars out there. Have you seen the leave a review link up in the menu? We need to hear from you. And if you hadn't already noticed, when you do leave a review, there's a little surprise there for you. So, comments, reviews, what do you think? What are you doing with your Allsauce? Have you created any new recipes? Are you thrilled that you can finally get that secret ingredient back into your championship recipe? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. All right? Don't forget, refer your friends. Take advantage of the reward program. All right. So, I think that's going to about do it for this episode of Allsauce Matters. Thank you so much for being here. As I always tell you, I'm only here because you're here. So, thank you. Thank you very much. I can't say that enough. Welcome again to all the new All-Stars. Don't hold back. Send your friends and family to become All-Stars too. And it's all appreciated. It's all love. It's Allsauce Matters, your source for all things Allsauce. I'm Uncle Brother. I make award-winning Allsauce, and I'm a radical self-care extremist. Catch you next time. Peace!